Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of the GTAS podcast, also known as Guys Talking About Shit. Today is Sunday, April 22nd, right?
Yeah.
2018. It's Earth Day today, huh?
Yeah.
I'm Bob Brusen, and I'm joined by my co-host, the always distraught Adam Miller.
It's true.
Yeah, you're really distraught this week.
Yeah, I'm just not feeling well.
Adam's dying. Possible. Adam thinks he's dying.
I mean, when do I not?
Yeah, well, I mean, as I was mentioning, I said, Adam's like, I don't really feel well. I'm like, Adam, you're a diabetic and you have the worst diet of anybody that I know.
It's true.
You've got a terrible diet. You need to fix that shit. Like, I can still eat whatever the fuck I want, but, you know, for the most part, when I'm just hanging out, I need to have, like, healthy foods. Or else I'm going to feel like shit the rest of the week.
Yeah, I know. I'd be like, if it was up to me, I'd probably just eat, like, country fried steak all the time.
Well, if it was up to everybody, I mean, I'd have Boston Market every goddamn day and mac and cheese all the time, but you can't. So, today, I'm working off a piece of paper today.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I can't hear it. I can hear it. Adam can't. For some reason, there's a weird reverb in my...
He thinks there's a buzz in
I
his
feel
voice.
like there's a buzz with my voice, so if there's some sort... If it's really distracting, like, let us know. Mm-hmm. Like, just shoot us a comment on the video or send us on Twitter. Yeah. And just tell us, like, hey, there's something wonky with your mic because... It's driving me nuts just hearing it now, but Adam doesn't hear it at all.
Yeah, if one person comments on it, all you have to do is just, like, reply to that comment, like, just say seconded or whatever. We don't need 53 comments being like, there's something wrong with your mic.
Well, we don't have 53 people who listen to this shit, so...
Yeah.
But, okay, so also, not only that technical difficulty, today I'm working off a piece of paper, everybody, because I lost the signal on my laptop. Which, you know,
I think his wireless card that died.
I think my Wi-Fi adapter inside my internal Wi-Fi like fried because it still receives a signal if you plug the Ethernet, but it says that something's not installed. I've tried to refix it and nothing is working. So I can't figure it out.
I can't do shit about it because he has something that I don't even know how it works.
Yeah, because I have a Mac. So we're gonna work off a piece of paper. So I'm gonna try to keep this crinkling to a minimum. So, but I wrote that. Wow, Adam. Wow, you're such an asshole. So, okay, but before we get into this, Adam, what's anything new with you? Like, besides my technical difficulty bullshit, is there anything going on with you besides you?
No, I've just been replaying through Yakuza Kiwami. I guess it's not really I'm not replaying through it because it's a re-release, but I played through the first game obviously on PS2. So
did you finish Zero?
No, I took a break from that for a little while. But some neat things. There's some new side quests in Yakuza Kiwami that like sort of call back to Yakuza 0 that weren't in the original game. And then the 6th game came out this week.
Yeah, I got my copy and like every time you just tell me like, hey, here's a Yakuza game you should support, I'm like, okay, I like supporting the Yakuza games. I'll buy it. And so I got this big giant edition of Yakuza 6, when I would have been just satisfied with the regular copy. But this version came with these really, really nice glasses.
Yeah, whiskey glasses too.
Oh, you know what? You want me to just go get it? I'll just go grab it. You just keep talking. I'll go grab it.
All right.
You just tell people about what you think of the game. I'm gonna go get this and show people.
Okay. Well, anyways, what I really want to talk about was the advertising campaign for it was pretty unique in that they did a lot of live action scenes that were they had people.
I'm back
Already. Wow.
It was only in my room.
That was quick.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was talking about the advertising campaign for Yakuza 6.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't even know about the advertising.
Okay, you haven't seen it?
Mm-mm.
They cast live action actors to play characters from side quests throughout the series, and they were talking about their experience with like Kazuma Kiryu saving their life, or like turning their life around and all this shit.
Like one of those like True Hollywood, not True Hollywood, like an A&E type of thing where they're like
interviewing him, and like it's a homeless guy who's talking about how
he saved me. He hit that guy with a bicycle.
Yeah,
like stuff like that.
Yeah, it was like that, and it was really neat. It was a really cool advertising campaign, and it was definitely different.
So Yakuza 6, Song of Life After Hours Premium Edition. And I was sitting there, I'm like, well, Adam, I really don't need a giant version of this. But Adam explained to me, like, Bob, this is right up your alley. Why is that, you might ask? Well, I was going through it, and I was like, Adam was showing me the pictures. I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty nice. So, in this, it's like a little mini unboxing here, but this is like...
You already took the game out, it looks like.
Yeah, I took the game out and put it on my shelf. Yeah. But it comes with really nice coasters.
Yeah, with cork-back coasters, so they're, like, legit.
Yeah, they're nice. And I haven't opened this yet, but they're ice cube, like...
They're like granite stones that you stick in the freezer to make them cool, and then you drop them in your glass.
Yeah, so they're like reusable ice cubes. Yeah. But I was looking at this and I was like, Adam, how nice are these gonna honestly be? This is styrofoam, guys, so watch out for the squeakiness on this. And I was sitting there, I'm like, Adam, this isn't gonna be that nice, is it? And I look and I'm like, holy shit, these are actually
nice glasses.
Really nice. Oh, sorry for the squeaking, everyone. Really nice, like glassware.
Yeah,
like these are.
They're solid. They're heavy.
Cheap.
They're kind of heavy.
Yeah, they got. I have glasses in there that I usually under my little player behind you.
Yeah.
That I usually drink whiskey out of whenever I listen to some records because that's like the most hipster bullshitty sounding thing ever. But no, I like listening to records and I like drinking scotch. And once I get a bar or something out in my like kitchen area, because this is not a studio, if you can't tell. This is my spare fucking bedroom. But these are really nice. I was actually really happy with it because I think it was only like, wasn't it only like $89.99 or something?
I think we paid $76
because
for the Amazon Prime, but the actual collector's edition itself I think was $89 or $99.
Yeah, either way, I mean it's a really nice set and I'm glad I have it. It's kind of unfortunate. Sorry, I'm a little distant from the mic, guys. All this is all visible on the YouTube one. I mean, obviously,
yeah, you're not gonna
for our audio
you're
listeners.
Just gonna hear a bunch of moving around and shit
for
on
our
the
audio
version.
listeners. I mean, it's a little harder for me to explain it. But if you check out the YouTube at the beginning of the video, you can see what we're talking about. But I'm glad I got that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be starting that soon. I mean, the new gameplay engine, the Dragon engine, looks like it has a lot more detail in it.
Oh, the game looks beautiful.
But yeah, so
the animations on people's faces just look so good. I'm like, leaning over, I'm trying to get this shut. Keep talking, Adam. I'm just sitting here trying to get this all closed.
Well, like if you're into any kind of movie that would be about this subject matter from Japan, you're obviously going to recognize characters like Beat Takeshi, who's playing a character in that game.
Oh, yeah. Him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was in, of course, Boiling Point, Brother with Omar Epps.
That movie was incredibly great.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was going to be a piece of shit, and Adam's like, no, this is a great movie, and I want that movie. Do they have that on Blu-ray?
I don't know.
I need to see.
I don't know.
I'm going to check out.
I mean, it's definitely on DVD. It's a little hard to come by, though.
Yeah,
I was surprised when it came. Like, when we worked at the Exchange, it came in. I'm like, holy shit. I never thought I'd see this. So
you snagged that.
I snagged that right up.
Okay. Well, Adam, we're going to start going on to our first topic. And so we're going to deal with a little bit of movie news at the beginning today.
Sure.
And eventually we're going to go into our game news. And there's kind of a controversial topic at the time that I'm kind of hesitant to do, but Adam says we should just do it anyway and say fuck it, and so we'll give people a little heads up on that one. But we're going to start off on today's first topic, which is that WB earlier this week is in talks with Cathy Yan to direct the Birds of Prey WB DCEU universe that's in shambles at the moment. Adam, are you familiar at all with Birds of Prey? Do you know anything about that?
Sounds familiar. But
well, Birds of Prey is kind of like a female-led team in like kind of like the Batman universe. It's that style. It's had a lot of people. Like it's had Catwoman. It's had, I believe, like Black Canary has been in there. Batgirl, I think, has been in there. I'm not familiar with the comic, but I know the idea. Yeah. So they're reportedly getting this together, and they decided to pick on Cathy Yan because Margot Robbie is producing and starring in this movie. She's going to be, obviously, her Harley Quinn character, and she was promoting that this should be a female-directed movie. It's a female-led cast, so why not get a female director?
Well, the whole subject matter is about a female superhero team. So.
Yeah, and
or someone
anti-hero team. Yeah, that's kind of like they work in the shadows type of thing. I don't know. It's, to be honest, I think the idea sounds terrible. But Kathy Yon, I was looking her up. I'm like, what? Who's Kathy Yon? So this movie, when right now the state of the DCEU is in complete shambles, they decided to pick Kathy Yon, and I looked up her IMDb page. She currently has 4 films on her Rolodex of films, of her filmography. 3 of them being short films, and the other one called Dead Pigs, which I've never heard of, but it has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes based out of 6 reviews, and has a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. Okay, so she's got 1 film that is, for the most part, I would say is liked.
Yeah.
Well received.
Somebody likes
it. Clearly, it doesn't have a lot of reviews. I'm sure it wouldn't keep 100% if it was out of, like 150 some critics.
Yeah.
It clearly was a very small independent film, but apparently WB likes her enough. They like what she's done to give her a whole movie. So they're thinking that shooting's going to start for this movie at the beginning of next year, or even as early as this year, and that it's going to focus mainly on Harley Quinn and Batgirl, but Batgirl is not cast yet. Does this sound any interest to you, Adam? Like, I know you're not a DCEU fan, and I think
I'm not really, but
it's widely known that I'm not a big DCEU fan either.
But you at least go see the movies.
I at least go see the movies.
Yeah,
I put myself through torture.
I don't do that.
Yeah. She's the big thing with Batgirl was that eventually Batgirl was supposed to get her own movie that was originally going to be written and directed by Joss Whedon. And then he left the project. We have a solo video on that, so if you want any more information on that, go check that out. And they're currently saying that Batgirl is going to be written, the movie is going to be written by someone named Christina Hodson, and she's currently...
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, well, it's not the greatest. She's currently writing the Bumblebee movie, and it's obviously, that hasn't been released yet. Now you're sitting there like, I see your face, Adam's like, Bumblebee movie? Like, what the fuck?
You mean like Bumblebee the Transformer?
Yes. Bumblebee the Transformer is getting its own solo movie.
Solo film?
Yes, but apparently there's a rumor saying that the Bumblebee movie could be the final Transformer movie, at least in that universe, unless they decide to reboot it. So, I was looking up Christina Hodson. I was like, who is this woman? So let me look up what her writing credits are.
Yeah, what are her credentials?
She has 2 movies under her belt.
Ooh.
One was called Shut In with Naomi Watts. Currently has an 8% on Rotten Tomato out of 39 reviews. And the other one was isn't this irony, a movie called Unforgettable that starred Rosario Dawson and Katherine Heigl, which has a 26% out of 105 reviews. So right now, her 2 movies that she has are not good. And I heard that Unforgettable was terrible. Terrible. And anything with Katherine Heigl in her, post Knocked Up has not been that great.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This just does not sound like it's going to work. Hey, anything can happen.
Okay, let's
go ahead.
Let's break from this for a second. You got to realize that the DCEU is struggling.
Yes,
struggling bad.
I think even people who are fans of the DCEU, I think they can say that after the results of Justice League, that the DCEU is floundering right now.
Yeah, and
struggling.
I guess here's where I'm going with that is DC is not going to be able to tap, a Stanley Kubrick level director and go, hey, you want to do a movie for us? Because their franchise is in the toilet already.
Yeah.
So they're tapping, no-name people and just hoping that it sticks.
Yeah, that's what it actually seems like. It seems like anybody is trying to get the hell out of there. Like, I'm waiting for the day until Matt Reeves says, I'm not going to be a part of the Batman movie anymore. I believe everything with Wonder Woman 2 is going to go forward,
I don't think that one's going to have a hard
Patty
time.
Jenkins isn't going to leave that property. I think she's having a lot of promise.
It's the only thing that they've done right.
Yeah, and the only other thing now that coming out is at the end of the year, which is Aquaman, who was directed by James Wan, who I like James Wan because he did the Conjuring films, and I believe he did maybe Insidious.
Did he do one of the Fast and Furious movies?
Yes, I think he did Fast 7 or 6. He did one of them. And I don't really like the Fast and the Furious movies, but that's just because it's not really.
But I mean, his name is tied to a big franchise like that.
Yes, his name is usually synonymous with like quality.
Yeah,
it's usually a good time. So I have a little hope for Aquaman being pretty decent. Hopefully, like maybe WB will back off, but I just feel like, okay, so you have the Aquaman movie. You don't know what's going on with the Matt Reeves Batman solo because you don't know what's going on with Ben Affleck. And then you have the Shazam movie coming out with Zachary Levi as Shazam, which I don't have a problem with that. But you're leaving off of with Shazam. Very odd next pick, you know?
Yeah.
I guess they're just not either. Henry Cavill's too busy for them to do like Man of Steel 2. I don't know why.
Did they already do Man of Steel 2?
No. Not many people. I
thought they did.
Man of Steel was kind of... They did Superman versus Batman. Batman versus Superman. Like the DCU...
I thought there was a Man of Steel 2.
No, it goes Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, Shazam, and then whatever the hell they can throw at the wall and make stick now. I don't know. I just got a lot of... I got a lot of reservations about this because Birds of Prey is not really well known, but neither was Suicide Squad, and that made a lot of money. And
but it didn't do that well critically.
No, it did terribly critically. Like it did very, very low.
That's the thing. Like the money making aspect only makes or is only important to the business. People are not going to go see the next film if you're critically panned. No matter how much money you make in the first run, if your film sucks, nobody's going to go see the second film.
Justice League is a big indicator of that. Like, people saw Wonder Woman and the reviews were good, so people went out and saw it. But I don't think people are taking their chances on these DC movies whenever they're critically panned anymore. Like, Justice League wasn't critically panned. It seemed like it was a half and half. I think it was like 4 out of every, 10 people liked it. Like, it was I think it had a 49 or close to 50% rating. So we'll just round it up for sake of argument that half the people like it, half the people didn't. I didn't hate Justice League. I just was like, oh, this was better than I thought it would be.
You were probably okay. So 49% of people hated it, 49% of people liked it, and 2% of people were in the middle, and you're one of those 2%.
I think I'm in the middle. I think Danko liked it a lot. Danko really liked it. And he's a huge Batman fan. I'm a huge Batman fan, but I'm not.
I remember when we had him here, he was also talking about there was some problems that he had with it.
Yeah, there were a lot of problems, but I thought the good outweighed the bad. So, I mean, I'm on the side of just reboot the damn thing, and just have Matt Reeves kick off the new universe with Batman. Just call it quits and say, hey, Batman is going to be the focal point of the universe because it didn't work with Superman. It just didn't. I think Superman's boring, but Superman and Batman are the two most popular heroes.
We've said that before. It's Batman and Superman and Spider-Man are like the top 3 heroes.
Yeah, period. I think that those are the most recognizable. And I think that I just don't think the universe worked with... You started off with a really divisive movie in Man of Steel, and it seems like... And did you see Man of Steel? Did you have any... I saw Man of Steel, and I thought that Man of Steel was okay. It's just script was terrible. I thought its script was really bad, but I thought it was well shot, and I thought it was decently well acted. I didn't think anybody was terrible. I just thought that Amy Adams was bad as Lois Lane. And so I don't know. The WB is just in a mess, and yeah, it's your analogy was perfect. They're just throwing whatever they can and seeing what it sticks to the wall. Yeah, because they are just having
basically, and it's not. When they tap people like this that have a bad record or they're kind of no-name people, the reason they're doing that is because that's all they can get at this point, is what I'm saying. They're saying let's try these people, let's give them a chance, and if they make something good, then that's good for both of us.
Yeah, you know I think that, I mean, maybe they're just, and I think a lot of high-profile I think it's kind of coming out that WB sort of meddles in these properties, and they're not really.
Yeah, they're very much like Electronic Arts with video games.
Yeah, where they're just
like their fingers are in every pie.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you give complete creative control to the director because it is their movie, so you can have say in certain things. But I mean, we're gonna get into WB's issues into the next thing too. But you'd see that kind of opposite with the Marvel properties. You see directors being like, I want to direct a Marvel movie. Because it's apparently having a lot of success. You're going to guarantee that your movie nobody wants a flop under their belt.
Yeah, nobody does. Think about who would you say is the most successful director in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I mean, I'd say it's probably the Russo brothers. Wouldn't you think
I think right now I'd say that or James Gunn with Guardians.
Yeah.
I'd say that those two are probably like
How often are you hearing the Russo brothers or James Gunn talk about Marvel really meddling with what they're trying to do?
No, not much.
You've never heard them talk about it once, have you?
Well, Kevin Feige even, they asked, like, for example, one of the films you really liked was Thor Ragnarok. You did enjoy that movie, right?
Yeah, it was good.
That was directed by someone named Taika Waititi, who'd only prior, I think, done 1 or 2 films and maybe a couple, like, short films or something like that. And they asked, why would you take a gamble on your third film with a pretty relatively unknown director in Taika Waititi? Why would you do that? And Kevin Feige said the same thing. He's like, the same reason why I picked James Gunn, who'd never done a big budget blockbuster for Guardians of the Galaxy, because a good director can tell a good story.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked him. Mm-hmm. And he's a great director, so that's why I picked him. So,
and don't get me wrong here. We're not like dick riding Marvel either. There's problems in their films too, but the difference is that the problems in the Marvel films don't ruin the experience.
Yes.
They're like minor criticisms, whereas in DC, there's shit going on that you're like, why the fuck did they think this is a good idea?
I'm going to kind of say that, I think the small, I would say this. Marvel, when there's an issue, it's more nitpicky.
Yeah.
Rather than with the DC current lineup of
where you're like,
movies,
holy fuck.
Where you're like, wow, those are problems. Those aren't nitpicky. Those are problems.
Yeah.
Like bad CGI in Justice League with that mustache, that's nitpicky. But when like half the narrative is just all over the place, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like people making fun of the mustache in that is bad. But like the plot points and the like reasonings of all these characters and the motivation of all the characters, like in Batman v Superman, don't make any fucking sense. So it's a problem. Mm-hmm. And I don't really see that in the in the Marvel side. Most of the major complaint with Marvel stuff is like, oh well, their villains aren't that great. Well, guess what? They're really ranking them up now. They're picking that shit up. Like Hera was great in Thor Ragnarok. You had Vulture in Spider-Man. You had
Vulture was awesome.
You always have Loki. Thanos is about to pop out. What were some of the other movies that recently had come out? Oh shit.
Like I'll say this: the villain in Doctor Strange wasn't really that great.
No, he was weak. But like they're making some improvements, is what I'm saying. Like every single Marvel's like, wow, these are really like prior to like Civil War. Well, Civil War had a bad villain too, but like.
Civil War also killed a villain like 3 seconds into the film.
Oh yeah, but he was like a henchman more so, like Crossbones. But then
but I mean,
Baron von Zemos, I think, was the bad guy in Civil
Baron
War.
Zemo,
Oh, like Killmonger. That was the other one I was thinking. Killmonger was great.
Yeah, and he was fucking fantastic. He was the best role in that film.
Best part of the he was the best part. So yeah, they're completely they're taking people's criticisms into consideration. And so I think Marvel was doing that, and I just going back to the Birds of Prey thing, it just sounds like a bad idea. Right now, I'm not saying down the road you can't do a Birds of Prey movie, but why don't you get like I say it every time, why don't you get Batman and Superman right before you decide you're going to go to Batgirl? Even though I want a Batgirl. I have old Batgirl's comics like over there. Well, New 52 line. And I love Batgirl, and I want to see a Batgirl movie.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see it in this universe that can't even figure out how to get Batman right.
Yeah.
You know? I can't figure out what the hell they're doing. Okay, Adam, going on to our next topic. You liked Mad Max Fury Road, did you not?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. A lot of people loved it. But where's the sequel been? Remember how they were sitting there saying, oh, we're going to do a sequel to Mad Max and we're going to do a Furiosa movie. Remember how they were like, those were in talks for the longest time? Well, you can probably, for the time being, don't expect a Mad Max sequel from George Miller anytime fucking soon. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime. Have you heard anything about what's going on here? Okay, so let me pull up my little paper notes here as quietly as possible. So George Miller is currently having a big lawsuit with Warner Brothers. There's a Fury Road financial split issue that George Miller's production company, Kennedy Miller Mitchell, has been filing against WB for quote, acting high-handed, insulting, or reprehensible manner for not giving a bonus promised if Fury Road came under the budget of $157 million. So his production company was promised a bonus if he was able to keep the budget, obviously, under $157 million. So, okay.
And he did that, didn't he?
Yes and no. So what WB claims is that the budget was actually $185 million and it put the film back 14 months. And the counter argument from George Miller's lawsuit is saying, we did come under $157 million, but you came in and said you wanted these changes, which then threw us over budget. The film I presented to you was $157 million under. And then you came in and said, we want to make these changes, make these happen. And then that threw it over the budget and shot it up to $185 million.
That makes perfect sense. His argument makes
perfect sense. That's they're saying there's that because of we wanted these changes, you came over budget. Which that's what the lawsuit, and this happens all the time. Like people sit there like, oh no, it's completely ridiculous that that they would sue somebody. Like that happens every once in a while. There are conflicts with money and things that are promised that a small lawsuit will come in and it's peaceful. It's not ever anything rude. It's just, hey, I was promised this money and you didn't, so I'm asking for it back. And if we can't, we'll just go to do a lawsuit. But when you're throwing stuff out saying like that, they're saying high-handed, insulting, and reprehensible manners that you're behaving, and apparently like WB is throwing shade back at Miller for that. I mean, it's not this doesn't sound like a nice thing. Most of these things are handled without any dispute or quotes coming out.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is settled out of court.
Yeah.
So for the fact that this is even possibly going to court should tell you that this is pretty serious.
Yeah, apparently, like it's not a friendly little, hey, you owed me money. Like I think it started out that way, but they're sitting. He's like, no, you guys. Then this is just what I'm reading. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I don't know all the facts. So for all I know, that George Miller could be completely bullshitting. But this is just what his side says, and this is what WB says. But from what it sounds like is that, well, if the movie I gave you was $157 million under, and you didn't like it, and you wanted to add changes that threw it over budget, it does sound like it does sound like WB is at fault because they wanted changes done to it. It's like if you asked me to build you a house for, we'll just use the exit. Let's say you gave me $100,000 to build you a house.
Yeah.
Okay. I build you a house and you're saying, hey, try to keep it under $100,000. Please do that. And I build it for you for $95,000. I build you the whole house. But then you come in and say, well, I really want a garage too. Okay, well, I can't build you a garage you didn't say that originally. You told me you wanted a house. You didn't mention anything about a garage. Yeah. If you want a garage, that's going to be more money. I can't do that for under what you're asking. And then, so I take out the loan, I build the garage, and you're like, well, I told you to keep it under 100. Well, I told you to keep it under 100 million. Well, what am I supposed to do? You asked for more stuff. So that's at least what I can think of. I think that's a good layman's term.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent analogy, I'd say, for it.
Yeah, but another thing is, you know what? Like, I remember how everyone was talking about how like big of a success Mad Max Fury Road was. I was sitting there looking it up, and I was like, it's not really that big of a number. So I was looking it up, and then it said that Mad Max Fury Road made $378.9 million. I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, well, that's not that bad.
That's double your money, ain't it?
Yeah, but if it's $185 million budget, plus whatever goes into marketing, plus whatever the theaters take, you maybe made a little bit of money, but you didn't make a lot. You didn't make, I think, what they were expecting it to do. It's critical success.
It made its money back.
It made its money back, but it only made a little bit of money, I'm assuming. It does sound like when you sit there and say, 185 and almost made $400 million. Yeah, it does sound like that. But if you think that maybe I think it's 30% of the budget goes into marketing.
Generally speaking.
Yeah, and then I believe the theater keeps about 11 or 12% of what you make as well. So it is a little, it does not seem as much whenever you think about it.
Yeah, I think the theater, I think that's right. Between 8 and 12%, I think is what they keep from ticket price.
I could be wrong. I think I'm shooting a little high. I think Adam's a little more right with the 8.
Yeah, I think.
But I'd say between 8 and 12.
I worked at a movie theater a long time ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, this is before I could legally work. I was working there under the table.
Oh, okay. That's pretty funny. Which one did you work at?
Kane Road Drive-In. In Hopewell.
Oh shit. Oh, yeah, really?
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
But,
that sucks. There's no more drive-ins anywhere.
Yeah, there's one. There's still one in Moon Township.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that big,
Dependable Drive-In?
Is that big one that has
4 screens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to do that again. I miss drive-ins.
But yeah, I used to work there in the concession stand. One of the things that they would talk about sometimes, how they only make 8% on ticket sales.
Yeah.
So a movie theater makes almost all its money from concessions.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I do it. I sneak drinks in and shit like that because their prices are ridiculous.
Yeah, I've kind of cut sneaking out because now they offer deals all the time. But yeah, no.
Because they're really trying to curb the necessity for people to do that.
Yeah, there's a reason why concession stands at movie theaters are what? $8 for a fucking a box of popcorn? Yeah, it's because they make almost no money off ticket prices. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel bad for this whole situation because it doesn't seem like we'll be getting a Mad Max sequel, at least directed by George Miller anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's a clause.
He did get that game. That game is actually not bad.
That is a good game. I think it was free last month, right?
I think it's actually still free right now. Free.
Pick up the WB Mad Max game. That game is really good. If you got a PlayStation, right? It's not for Xbox. It's on Xbox, but I don't think it's free for Xbox right now.
I don't know. I don't know if it's multi-platform or if it's exclusive to PlayStation 4.
No. It isn't multi-platform. No. I mean, sorry, my bad. I'm an idiot. It is multi-platform.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have an Xbox, go pick up the Mad Max game because it's
actually pretty good.
It is really good. It just came out the same goddamn day as
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
Which was fucking stupid.
That was a dumb idea because you put out a pretty quality game and it just kind of got left in the dust by Metal Gear. So. All right.
I picked up both that day, but most people probably would not.
Yes, I picked up both as well, but yeah, exactly. Most people aren't pathetic like we are. So, Adam, going on to our next topic, and this will be the last one for our movie news for today, is that what do you think of the franchise Gremlins?
It's good. It's a fun Christmas movie.
Yeah, it is a fun Christmas. The second one's not Christmas, is it?
I don't know.
I don't think
the first one's a Christmas movie.
The first one's definitely a Christmas movie. The Mogwai is a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
So Gremlins 3 has been on an on and off production for a long time, and so apparently they've had a little bit of a let's see, what's the word I'm thinking of? Rebirth in a way, of information. I'm
gonna stop you right now. If they make the Gremlins CGI instead of practical effects, I'm not fucking interested.
We'll get into that. So,
okay.
So the new Gremlins there's some more reports coming out about a possible new Gremlins that is not going to be a 3. That's what they're saying. According to the writer and the director, they're saying of the original, who I think is also writing, maybe not directing, but he's definitely writing this new reboot. Chris Columbus is his name, and he's Christopher Columbus.
Change your name, dude.
Yeah, well, I think that's why he goes by Chris.
Yeah.
He says it's not a straightforward sequel. That he says, quotes, Gremlins. We're actually talking about that. So that's what I am working on with my production company, 1492 Pictures. It will almost definitely be a reboot. It's 14. What do you know about 1492 Pictures?
Not just 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He's fucking.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
He's fucking running with that name.
Oh, I didn't. Jesus. Wow. I wrote that down and that did not even click. I was like 1492 pictures. Oh, his name is Chris Columbus. Wow, I would not have. Thank you for pointing that out. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, well, just change your name and your production company.
He stated that a while back, he said he stated that he completed a script for a new Gremlins. And so that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. So, Adam, you clearly made your thing known. Is Gremlins even have a hope of doing okay if it uses CGI Gremlins?
I would say no.
I don't think so either. I really think that this is one where you're just...
Practical effects or get the fuck out.
Yeah, I think I'm not sitting here saying that practical effects are like the end all, like you need to have them, but I feel like the Gremlins, that's where their personality shined, and you actually felt that they were there. I feel like if you had CG, it would come off as really, really weird looking, and I just don't think people would buy into it. Yeah, I think if you
use a little bit of CG, like for fast movement scenes, whatever, that's fine, but fucking, if you have shit standing still, don't use CG. Use practical effects.
Yeah.
Just don't be lazy.
Gremlins creeped me the hell out.
Really?
Yes. Gremlins scared the shit out of me whenever I was younger. They were almost on the level of like a Chucky scary to me. Like, they scared the shit out of me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. It always seemed like a comedy to me.
It was, but when I was younger, like when I saw that movie, I remember watching that like on like USA, like around Christmas time or just every once in a while. They fucking like murdered people. They were fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was kooky when they're watching Snow White in the theater and shit like that. I understand that. Like, I was like laughing at that. But man, when that mom is like fighting it in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, and it has a knife. Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me. Like, I was terrified. And I just don't think you're gonna get that vibe for a CGI one. Yeah. I just don't think it works. I don't know. That's the thing. Would I want a reboot of Gremlins? Sure, but I agree that you need to get...
It has to be practical effects.
You got to get those puppets back. I think that they'd be... You've seen what people can do with
practical effects
and like those. I'm sure they won't look as cheesy as the original Gremlins, but I still think the original Gremlins look pretty good. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe it's just a little bit of nostalgia that I'm kind of terrified of them, but I still think the Gremlins look good.
Practical effects in a lot of those films still hold up.
I mean, I don't sit there and I'm like, when I watch The Last Jedi and I see Puppet Yoda in there, I don't sit there and be like, oh, I mean, I call it Puppet Yoda, but I don't sit there and I'm like, yep, that's a puppet. I see that's Yoda.
Yeah.
I know that it's a puppet, but I can just see it more with, unlike the Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith Yoda, where it's all CG. Like, it's just,
you can tell
something doesn't.
Yeah, it's not right.
Something doesn't click right.
Yeah.
With me, so I don't know. Yes, I agree. It's practical effects on that, or get the fuck out. But I agree that you can do CGI in there. You don't have to make everything. You don't have to make
everything. Doesn't have to be practical effects, but.
It's like what my biggest complaint
is. You should use it.
It's like what my biggest complaint with Jurassic Park or Jurassic World was, is that almost all the raptors were CG, and I still, to this day, I'm like, oh, kind of wish we could get the real raptors back, because I still see the raptors from like Jurassic Park 3, and I still get like creeped out by them. So yeah, there's a place and a time for CGI, and just doing everything CGI. I understand that doing practical effects will shoot the budget up, but sometimes
it's also more time consuming, because you got to have sculptors come in.
You got to
have riggers come in and make all the pistons and everything that move them around.
Yeah, I understand that it is like to sit there and be like, well, I want practical effects back. I understand that the work is hard. I understand that. It's just that sometimes hard work pays off.
Hard work usually pays off.
Yeah.
We'll say that.
And it's just, I think whenever you don't use the CGI, something clicks more. Like, you feel those things there. I don't know why. There's just something about seeing something visibly there, even though you know it's not real.
Yeah.
There's something more tangible about it, as opposed to, oh, well, that's just a computer-generated effects. I don't know why. It's weird. Okay, Adam, we're going to be moving out of the movie news and going into some game news. So we're going to talk about the first thing, which is the Sega Ages Collection.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this yet?
So from what I've heard, that this is just like re-releases of old Sega arcade classics and old Sega system classics and stuff like that.
Yes.
This isn't the Ages collection from the PS2 era.
No, or the Saturn. They've been using that moniker for like a lot of their remasters. They've been doing it since the 90s on the Saturn. It's saying.
Yeah. There was a series on PS2 called the Sega Ages Collection, and it was like 3D. Complete ground-up remakes of Golden Axe and Space Harrier.
Yeah, these aren't necessarily...
It's not those.
No, these are individual downloads. Right now, it says it's coming out for the Switch. I didn't see anything about like the PS4 or the Xbox.
I think it is just coming out for the Switch.
Yeah, because I know that the PS4 and the Xbox are getting that big
Genesis
massive...
collection.
They're getting that big remastered Genesis collection. So the Switch is going to get individual downloads, and they don't have dates yet for them, but right now, they're going to come out with the Genesis version of Sonic the Hedgehog, the Sega Master System of Phantasy Star 1, and Alex Kidd in Miracle World, Thunder Force 4, which I believe is just the Genesis version, and then the arcade version of Gain Ground. I'm not even familiar with that title, but
I think it's
kind of intrigued by it.
I want to say that it's like one of those scrolling shooters.
That's what it looked like from the picture. Sure, it definitely looked like a scrolling, like a tank shooter or something like that.
Yeah, but I've heard a little bit about this idea, and they're talking about, depending on how well any of this stuff does, that they might put games from other systems like Saturn and Dreamcast into this collection.
That would be really cool if they did something like that. Obviously,
Sega's just on their shit recently.
They're really pumping the gas. They're like,
last week the Shenmue 1 and 2
collection.
HD remaster.
Then they did the Mega Drive collection in Europe. I guess, did Europe not get any of those giant collection systems that we got? Like, because we didn't get announced for it, I think because it'd just be a dumb market to release it here, because we have like thousands of those built-in systems. Like, I got one in box. It's like Sega Collection that has all 3 Phantasy Star games and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know how Europe is working over there, but I mean, they get that Mega Drive collection. But yeah, Sega's just been really pumping the gas, like vroom vroom. They're just flying with getting remasters out there.
Just putting out quality content in general.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. Just build
with the exception of the Sonic franchise, they've really just been killing it.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. Sonic Mania. That was the last one they did, and I mean
Sonic Forces. I know you want to forget about it, but Sonic Forces was the last one that they did.
Yeah, was that any good?
I mean,
I think I've asked you a
better
couple
than
times.
Sonic 06.
Yeah, well, shit, whatever's in your glass here is probably better than Sonic 06.
Just a couple cubes left.
Yeah, that's probably better than Sonic 06. The developers of the Sega Ages collections are actually the ones who did the Sega 3D Classic collection on the 3DS. I don't know if you played those, but those are really good ports.
Really good, yeah.
They were really good ports. Those games are really cool because they have a lot of like hidden content in between that you can like unlock. Like the original Fantasy Zone, I think, is on there. Really neat. I really like the inclusion of the Sega Master System Phantasy Star because I sold that thing and I felt really shitty about doing it, and now I have the opportunity to get it back on my Switch. So I'm sure that these are probably going to be relatively cheaper titles because they've been released on every format possibly imaginable.
I mean, yeah, the first 3 Phantasy Star games were on the frickin' Game Boy Advance, so...
Were they? Oh.
Yeah. All in one cart.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Man, I might want to look into that because I'd like a portable version of this because Phantasy Star is one of my favorite role-playing games. I'm sorry, I don't know how I did not know about that. Okay. Well, Adam, we're going to go on to our next topic, which this was the one that I was sitting there like saying like, I really don't know how I feel about this. And you saw my reservations. I have it scratched out on my piece of paper here because I was like, I really just don't know, because mostly anybody who talks about this seems to get a lot of shit on YouTube. And it's not that I don't care about getting shit, but I'm not into just attracting crap just for the sake of it. Like, this is a story that I found disturbing, traumatic, sad, and just all around, there's all the bad emotions you can put into something. This is kind of it. and I just didn't know how to feel about it. So we're going to talk about it. So there was a report a while back with Channel Awesome, which for those who are not familiar with Channel Awesome, it used to be a website called That Guy with the Glasses. And That Guy with the Glasses is famous with like Doug Walker and Rob Walker for creating the character, the Nostalgia Critic, which I'm a big fan. I've been following the Nostalgia Critic for years. He was the Nostalgia Critic. He quit and then he brought it back and he puts a lot more production value into it. I mean, it's just, the guy who reviews old content, and now he kind of does a mixture of both. And I'm a big fan of the Nostalgia Critic. I want that to be stated nonstop because it's one of my favorite YouTubers. It's the one I consistently watch. But Channel Awesome...
I can honestly say I'm not in the same camp. I wouldn't say that I'm not, like, I hate him, but I've never, like, sought out his content.
Okay,
so
see,
we'll just comment, just so that we're honest and upfront about this stuff right away.
But Channel Awesome recently has not been in the greatest light, with reports of past members of... Channel Awesome was a giant collection of a bunch of other reviewers. Yeah. Some of them might know, like Spoonie. There was Linkara. There was the Nostalgia Critic. There was Cinema Stob. There, Todd in the Shadows. Angry Joe is from Channel Awesome, actually.
Well, he's been independent for quite some time.
He's been independent, but he started out on Channel Awesome. Yeah. I believe that might be the ones that I'm familiar with. I might be missing some, but you get the point. These are people who are really well known in the YouTube community. And we're so small, like, we're not going to act like we know any of these people. But, they're a lot of the inspiration for why I'm even doing this. And not so much probably Adam, but Adam just wants to talk about shit. And so...
I got a lot to say.
Yeah, you've got a lot to say. So the thing that I want to talk about is that the whole channel, this league of reviewers...
Yeah.
has right now been in a lot of flack.
Basically, all of Channel Awesome is collapsing in on itself.
Yes. A lot of people are leaving the show or leaving the channel saying that Channel Awesome does not allow a lot of their people to have their own Patreon page. It said that they had a really negative work environment. That
interfering with people's creative processes.
We had situations of like unfair treatment of the women in there by their manager. I forget his name, but
it's not the Nostalgia Critic himself. It's his brother who does most of the management, isn't it?
Yes, he does some of the management, but I'll pull up my phone because I want to get this story completely straight. But you keep rolling with this. I'll find out the guy's name.
Anyways, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and apparently documents have been leaking about things that this channel, this group of people has been dealing with, and that's one of the things that we're here to cover at the moment. You find it?
Is it? Let me see. I think it's Mark Ellis. I just want to make sure this is the right name. It was the chief engineer, that guy with the glasses. Eventually became. The thing is that there's a lot of issues. I apologize because I should have had this.
We weren't sure if we were going to go over this subject.
Yeah, so I didn't have too much.
So just for anybody that has been through...
It's their guy who heads it. It's not Doug Walker. Mike Michaud. I'm going to go with that because that's who it is. Yeah. Mike Michaud. They say that him and Rob Walker were kind of unfairly treating some of the women creators on there and kind of having like this.
I've heard they were just in general they were.
Yeah, it wasn't
they were
just
very much like getting involved in people's creative process, saying you can do this, you can't do that.
Yeah, and so pretty much that was like the beginning thing of like the change the channel movement.
Yeah.
Where people were saying that this is ridiculous. But I mean, the thing is that Channel Awesome now pretty much doesn't exist. It's pretty much just Doug doing the Nostalgia Critic.
Yeah.
And another big one that left was Linkara. He even pretty much said, like, look, I stuck around thinking I could help fix this, but this is just not fixable. And so I'm departing from it. And he was like the last big one who left. And so the big thing with this was with this Channel Awesome whole thing was like, okay, yes, this was really, really bad. But then something leaked not too long ago.
Yeah, and just a warning, if you've been through any kind of traumatic experiences involving sexual assault, you might want to
this is why I'm like kind of iffy about, like, this is why I'm getting as serious as possible here, because it is a really sad situation, and it's a really, like, it's really messed up that I'm even like, I feel weird talking about it. But apparently one of their other creators on there was a guy named Justin Carmichael, who went under the moniker of Juwario, who would review import games, and he was appeared like a very stand-up guy. And he eventually, he left the channel, but not a lot of information was known about that. Just thought, he just left. Well, about a year ago, Justin Carmichael committed suicide, and he shot himself, and a lot of people were blown away by that, because it was just like an anti-depression thing. We were like, no one knew, and it was really traumatic. I remember when it happened, and I wasn't really that familiar. I knew who he was, but I didn't know who he was. And apparently when he committed suicide, a lot of people were posting tribute videos saying he was such a nice guy. People were sitting there saying, I was encouraged by him to do YouTube, to become a content creator, and all that other jazz. And the reports came out that Channel Awesome had apparently fired him. Not just forced him out. Apparently wasn't a situation where it was a creative differences. He was fired for reasons of potentially being a sexual predator. Now, this is insane, not only for the instance that this guy was allowed to still go to conventions and hang out with fans, and nothing was reported, but that they decided to keep this from the public.
Yeah.
And not out him, thinking that,
would just go away.
We're just going to distance ourselves.
Yeah.
But not letting anybody know that this shit was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently what happened was that even, so there were reports of being a sexual predator. A lot of YouTubers are now coming out saying that, like, you know what? As sad as this is, because I don't even think it might have been a year. It might have been maybe a little over a year now. But a lot of YouTubers saying, like, I actually kind of get it. Saying that he had a very young audience of a lot of younger age girls. And they were reports that he was apparently grooming, like, some of his fans. He would be acting like kind of inappropriate at conventions, but no one sat there and was like, oh, this is odd. Like, they thought it was weird, but they didn't think it was like, oh, I need to distance myself from this guy. Maybe he just has a weird interactions with his fans. But then an anonymous Jane Doe came out and said that, no, this is true. He raped me. And I was sitting there, I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then I was listening to it. I was listening to all the articles I could. Apparently, I don't know who it was, but this apparently happened at MagFest 2014, where everyone was just super wasted. And I'm trying to, like, make it seem as not creepy as possible, but it is creepy. He apparently, like, saw that this girl was struggling, followed her to her room, and pretty much said, like, oh, I'm just making sure you get to your room okay. And she's like, no, I'm good. You don't need to follow me. Like, she apparently was getting a weird vibe from him. And then she opened the door to her apartment or her room and passed out. And then woke up and found the guy naked next to her, let's just say doing some weird stuff with his hands. And I just don't want to get into a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's just really crazy that this is apparently the part that got him This is what got him fired. And
if this got him fired, that means that not only did this definitely happen, but that his employer acknowledged it.
Yes.
And took action to, terminate his employment.
Yes, but didn't
publicly let anyone know in the community that this man was a potential danger to
people around him.
Yeah, to women, especially younger women, which he had a large following
with. The person that apparently this situation happened to was not underage. But
it doesn't matter, though.
But it doesn't. I don't give a shit if it was under. Yeah. No, I don't care what underage. Underage is obviously worse, but I don't give a shit anything. It's not.
It's still terrible.
Yes, it's still terrible. And what Channel Awesome decided to take the complete, like, what's the word? I always forget the words, but like, just the most uninvolved approach they could have taken.
The path of least resistance.
I guess maybe that would be it, because they just fired him and they were like,
yep,
no reports to like
wash their hands of it. Not our problem anymore. Which, if you're part of a community, it is your job to inform your community of a potential danger within that community.
So here's the thing: that apparently happened in 2014. I'm not sure the exact date he was let go from Channel Awesome, but I'm just saying, let's even say, for the sake of argument, that this Justin Carmichael committed suicide, let's just say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's still a span of 2 years that he was
2 to 3 years
going to conventions, hanging out with fans, interacting with people. And what's the sad thing is that probably things are going to come out soon. More things. And it's apparently a lot of people were saying, like Channel Awesome, I think one of their reports said, this is just what I read. I don't know if Channel Awesome said this, but I thought Channel Awesome said something on the lines of, we didn't want to out him because we didn't want to expose the victim or put the victim through that thing again. But there is a way to do that and just not expose the victim. You can say, like, hey, this guy is a potential threat to people around.
Yeah. And
this is the perfect instance of just this guy that you think is totally a nice guy, sweet, very kind, but in actuality, like, clearly he doesn't have the mental capacity to control himself. And, like, when he committed suicide, it was a real sad thing. And now people are just doing what they can to distance themselves from it. Yeah. And I don't blame that. Like, another person I listen to, I watch on YouTube, his name is...
That's another thing, is like, they let he commit suicide, and even though he was dead, and there was nothing that he could have done to expose whoever it was that was assaulted, they still refused to acknowledge that this event
this happened.
Yeah.
And so people are making tribute videos for him. People are doing walks for suicide prevention in his name,
yeah,
and doing all this stuff, and it's just turning out that, like, what did we do this all for? And a lot of people are like, well, the one thing we did was we raised suicide awareness. That's the best thing we can look at it. But, like, a lot of people are posting video, people are taking them down. Someone did a whole movie that was dedicated to him, and they re-edited it up, and they say, look, we didn't know this at the time. Just letting you know that we worked really hard on this film. And don't fault these people. Like, half the people who worked on this film did not have any interaction with them.
Didn't know.
But they worked really hard, and we think it would be wrong to take this whole thing down because of this. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's really made me, like, look at, and it's not their fault. Well, it's not like Doug Walker's fault. Like, whenever I see a Nostalgia Critic review, when he's making fun of Fievel Goes West, it's really hard for me to get in the mood to watch a comedy bit whenever your company, which, let's not, like, pretend that Doug Walker is a main guy of that company. It's that he's the guy with the glasses. Yeah. He didn't know about this. It's really tough for me to sit there and believe that he knew nothing about this at all, and he just let it go.
Which is that what he's saying? Is that what he's maintaining?
He isn't. I don't think he said anything about it, to be honest. And I don't want to put words in his mouth. And not like not like this video is ever gonna reach him, but I'm just saying it's.
But clearly the management knew.
Somebody knew, and somebody didn't say anything.
But from my understanding of how this company works is that Doug Walker really doesn't make decisions.
No,
his
doesn't.
Brother and that other guy. What did you say his name was? Mike
Michaud, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. That is true. But
so those two people knew. His brother obviously knew. He had to have. He
had to have known. When someone from when you're the main person, when you're the main face of the company, and you find out that a guy who was working for you was fired for possibly being a potential sexual predator, don't give me that shit that you didn't possibly know. You knew. You had to have known.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's insane. It's not like the 5 people down the ranks didn't know. Like, that's not their business. But like, it's just it's gross that they would rather cover their own skin, protect their own skin, than to potentially keep harm away from others.
My problem with their excuse too is like not wanting to expose the identity of the person who was a victim to this.
Don't expose them.
Yeah, well, I understand.
You say he was fired under these pretenses and leave it at that.
The problem is that allows for him to respond and possibly out that person. So I kind of, if they're being truthful about that,
yes.
I kind of understand it. But they still have a responsibility to let the community. Maybe they don't need to make a public announcement. Maybe go to the conventions that they know that this guy's frequenting, saying, "Hey, maybe this
don't
guy
invite this
here.
guy anymore.
Don't invite this guy. Don't let him in."
Yeah.
I mean, eventually word would get around back to him why he wasn't being allowed in places, but that's just a risk that you'd have to be willing to take. And then, second of all, after he died, for you to not come out immediately and release that information.
Well, okay. Well, real quick though, it's a real tough rope to walk on. Whenever someone just died and you automatically come out and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, this guy was a sexual predator," that's tough.
I mean, I honestly, I don't give a shit about how that guy's family feels about it. I don't.
No, I feel bad because his family probably doesn't even know.
I mean, I'm assuming they know now.
Yeah, I'm assuming they know now.
But what I'm saying, I guess, is that for them not to then come forward and say, "Listen, there was a person who accused this man of sexual assault. That's why we terminated his employment with us. And we just wanted to let you know he's no longer able to expose the identity of that person who wishes to remain anonymous." I mean, clearly
maybe that's not the worst way that they could have gone about it. They could have gone about it any way, but the way you're proposing isn't the worst.
You know what I mean? Just come out and say, "Look, accusations were made. He was fired. This is why he was fired." And, you know, he's not able to release the identity of this person anymore because he's deceased. So we just thought that this information should be out there. Like, they should have done it immediately. They should have been letting people know that this man was a possible danger to... I mean, he was around young people.
That was his
14, 16, 18, you know, young impressionable people, and he's sort of a YouTube celebrity. Being around them and you know, the accusations of like grooming behaviors, and
if I remember correctly, I think that his younger audience was called Wario Nights.
Yeah, I mean,
like people knew, and people are reporting that he was giving back rubs to some of his fans, and it just was weird.
It's weird shit.
But apparently he was such a normal sounding guy. He just seemed not a normal sound guy that he that they were just okay, that's odd, but okay, he's not harming anybody, I guess. But
I guess for that response, I would point you to, if you've ever been in any of these Facebook groups where they just put these kind of people on blast, they have guys sending, you know, DMs to girls all the time, "Oh, I'm such a nice guy, you should date me."
Yeah.
And they express that they're not really interested, and then they flip a switch, and they're complete pieces of shit after that, calling them whores and all kinds of how is she a whore? She won't sleep with you. That doesn't make any sense.
It's so fucked. I mean, there was even another report that I was listening to. This is all me. I went through I think I went through 10 videos trying to get as much information because it was just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And apparently somebody who was on set of one of those Channel Awesome movies where they get all of the people and all their reviewers together for one movie compilation type of thing. And apparently they had everybody's phones out, and someone picked up a phone, and there were 2 texts on the phone, like from the screen log, and it said like my wife, and then the other one was my slave. And this was all like coming from someone who's not a like controversy starter, like someone who doesn't just want attention, like someone who's been credited as being like a decently honest person. And there's some other people who have collaborated with this story. It's just awful.
Corroborated, you mean?
Yes, corroborated.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd I say?
You said collaborated.
Oh, yeah, no. Collaborated makes it sound like they were like,
positive.
No. Corroborated. Yeah. That was my apology. But so I don't have much else to really say about this. It's just that it's disgusting and it disturbs me on a lot of levels. So
the main thing that we need to say is that if you see somebody engaging in this sort of predatory behavior or abusive behavior in general,
you have to say something.
You have to say something.
You have to. You can't just let it go and think that someone else is going to do it, because someone else may not see it the way you do.
Yeah.
No one saw that this guy was like having predatory actions towards anybody. Nobody saw this coming. And you got to. I mean, if that's the moral.
The only people that saw it coming were the people that were victims to his predatory behavior. So, I guess.
As I said, and you know what?
It doesn't matter how powerful that person is. You have to speak truth to power all the time. And if the truth is that this guy was a sexual predator, which it seems like there's a substantial evidence. It seems that
most of no one's really declining that it's false.
It's true. Yeah, there's not really anybody that's like, this isn't true. This person did this or is doing that again. The woman's trying to remain anonymous. She's clearly not doing this for any kind of gain of fame, which is a frequent accusation of women that make accusations. Like, they're just trying to get their 15 minutes of fame out of this.
Yeah.
Like, which is that's a whole nother level of bullshit that we don't have time to get on today. But
nor do I want to get on to it.
But,
like, I'm already, like, shooken up from it, and I should have probably just saved it for last, but I don't want to leave it on... I didn't want to leave the show on a sour note, so... Yeah. All right, but do you have anything else?
Speak truth to power. When somebody is doing this kind of shit, engaging in this kind of behavior, sexual predatory or any kind of exclusionary behavior like racism or sexism, you need to tell them. Sometimes people aren't aware of it. There's a such thing as passive bigotry, and you need to tell these people what they're up to. And if they're going to deny it and if they're going to become aggressive about it, then you need to go to a higher power.
Yes.
Somebody who's above them that could get the word out that maybe this person doesn't belong in our community anymore.
And also, like, just to get it out there, as a disclaimer, even though we probably should have said it front, Adam and I are not experts, okay? We're just seriously guys who are presented with facts, and we just give our opinion on them. So, I mean, if this video is going to get a shitload of downvotes because of that, whatever. I mean, but what me and Adam are speaking right now is complete truth on the matter, at least with the evidence presented to me and presented to Adam.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you guys just want to downvote it because you don't think we know what we're talking about, that's fine. I don't care. But
what would be more constructive? Provide evidence to the contrary.
Yeah. Or just, it's just, I mean, the videos, I doubt this video is going to get a lot of views. I mean, but...
attention, yeah.
Yeah, any attention. But it's a serious matter. And one that Adam and I really thought for a good while on whether or not we should even talk about it. But I guess that's something that...
It's important to protect members within our community. The video game community, comic book community, film community. Doesn't matter what the community is.
Or how big or small we are comparatively. It's just you need to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
All right. So we're going to move on from that. So, okay. Adam, going on to that. And this will be the last topic of the day. We're going to be going on to that Xbox One. And we don't normally have very many topics about Xbox One.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about.
No,
usually.
There's not much. But I thought that this was actually kind of a cool story that I thought would be kind of...
relatively positive.
Yeah, and it's positive. And if you have an Xbox that listens to this show, I'm sure that you probably sit there and be like, well, those guys fucking hate Xbox and only talk about PlayStation and Nintendo stuff. Yeah, that's true. So I thought I would throw you guys a bone and talk about something that I think is actually really good about the Xbox right now.
We don't hate the Xbox. It just doesn't...
It doesn't appeal to us. But this is for you guys out there. For anybody who has an Xbox who listens to us, this one's for you. So Xbox recently has been releasing a lot of original game backwards compatibilities for the system, which is really cool, actually.
I just saw Red Dead Redemption is being sold in an Xbox One box, but it also has the Xbox 360 logo on it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so
well, actually,
I've seen that. Like their games are being packaged and they're reduced price, obviously.
Yeah.
They're like older games.
Cool. That's actually kind of neat.
It says like this will play on the Xbox One and the Xbox 360.
Well, that's really neat because we knew that they were releasing a bunch of 360 ones, but the one that people were asking, like, hey, we ever going to get the original Xbox? And I guess Xbox is sitting there like, you know what? the GTAS podcast is going to throw them a bone. Yeah. Let's throw them a bone as well.
Yeah.
So they released a bunch of Xbox One, like not one, not
the
like
original Xbox.
The original OG Xbox, the big black box.
Yeah.
So they posted a bunch of Xbox Ones a few weeks ago. And I'll get into the ones they released this week, which are really good. So they released, a few weeks ago, they released the original Destroy All Humans, Full Spectrum Warrior, Mercenaries 1,
cool,
MX Unleashed, and then a whole bunch of Star Wars titles, including Battlefront 1 and 2, Republic Commando, Jedi Academy, Jedi Starfighter, and Knights of the Old Republic 2. I didn't see Knights of the Old Republic 1 on there, but hey... Good job on you guys for that.
Yeah.
Like, you picked really good titles on that for a first round. Yeah. Apparently, they're going to be releasing new ones every week. And my friend actually posted a Snapchat to me. He's like, guess what I'm doing all weekend? And then this is talking about the new ones that they released, which is Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
Awesome.
That they released that title in there, and it works. He was playing it, and he loves that game, and so good for him.
Is it the Game of the Year edition with all the expansion content?
He was playing the Game of the Year edition.
Okay, so yeah, that I was just thinking that would make the most sense to release the Game of the Year edition and not.
That's what I think. I'm wondering if you put in either one, if it works. But from what I remember him posting, it said Game of the Year edition. So they also released Conquer Live and Reloaded.
Awesome,
great. This is a really weird one, but I think this is really cool because I think it's trying to entice some people in there. Panzer Dragoon Orta.
Yep, that's a good game.
They put that in there. That is a weird one to pick, but they're clear. Jade Empire, which I think is one of the greatest RPGs ever made. Awesome. That is an amazing game. Breakdown, it's apparently a first-person shooter.
Oh my god, it's so good. Okay.
Oh, so is it?
The game opens with projectile vomit.
Oh, really? So, like, why did they pick that game? I never even heard of it.
It's actually really cool. It's like it's kind of a first-person shooter, but it's also a first-person fist-fighting game.
Weird.
Yeah, it's
weird.
It's a very interesting concept, and you know what? Honestly, you can get it for pretty cheap, probably $5 or under. Go out and pick up a copy.
Yeah, I might. Yeah. I might actually look into it because I didn't know that. Usually, when Adam recommends a game to me, usually I play it and I usually will like it.
Yeah.
Usually, I don't think there's one that you've given me that I'm like, I hate this game. I don't think you've ever done one for me. Like
maybe Dark Souls.
But I don't hate Dark Souls. It's just not my type of game.
Yeah.
It's not a bad game. I just don't. It's not my game style. But then they have.
I don't play bad games.
Okay. The other two are Blinks, the Time Sweeper.
Sure.
I don't really know what the hell they. I mean,
I never
are they trying to bring
that.
back the Blinks? And then Hunter the Reckoning, which I actually remember that game being pretty cool.
Yeah. You know what I'm not seeing here?
What up?
Phantom Dust.
Oh, you want Phantom Dust?
If they ever want me to buy an Xbox, they need to fucking uncancel that Phantom Dust game.
Get the okay, so what other OG Xbox titles would you probably be interested in? I'm surprised. I guess Halo would be kind of pointless because of the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, that would be pointless. I mean, if it's what they're doing enabling like backwards compatibility?
Yes.
Oh, well then yeah, that makes sense.
Really?
Yeah, I mean if people want to play the original game, let them fucking play the original game.
Well, they have the original in the Master Chief Collection. I think you can switch. Can't you switch between the original and the new update?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Have an Xbox, so
if anybody knows, shoot us a message and let us know if you can do that.
Inform us.
I'm trying to think of some other ones. I mean, obviously, Knights of the Old Republic 1 would be great.
True Crime Streets in New York was a fucking fantastic game.
Yeah, that's cool. Let me try to think. How about the Tron game? How about
Killer App?
Yeah.
Tron
How about Killer App?
Yeah,
I like that game.
I think there was a Judge Dredd game that was on the Xbox. First-person shooter. I think so.
Oh wow!
Unless it was on GameCube.
I don't remember either of those. I really like the Roller Coaster Tycoon Xbox version. I think that's a really cool port.
Yeah, it's a good port.
I like that. Oh, you know what I really liked? I know a lot of people kind of shit on the game, but you ever played Dark Watch? Where you're like the cowboy vampire?
Oh yeah.
I like that
That was
game.
also on PS2, but yeah.
Well, so was wasn't True Crime New York?
Yeah, so. It was. I would say probably the other thing that I would recommend is Fable.
Like I think Fable's a little overrated, but they have the remastered one on Xbox 360. I remember they re-released it.
What, the original Fable?
They remastered the original Fable for it, I think, and I thought that was a really good one. How about the Warriors? Remember the Warriors game?
That's on. That's actually you can download that on PS4 now.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, I think it has.
I think the version I have is the Xbox. I think it ran smoother.
Most things did. Xbox had superior.
Unfortunately, I'm naming stuff that I remember is also on the PS2. I'm trying to think of like original Xbox exclusive stuff. How about How about Crimson Skies? They should.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, you don't remember Crimson? Oh, that was a good flight game. I hated it when I was younger. I thought it sucked, and then I played it as I was older, and it's a lot better. Crimson Skies is a popular one. People, I think, really would want Crimson Skies. The director's cut of Silent Hill, if you could ever get that again. That's just a tougher one to find.
Which one? Silent Hill 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shattered Dreams. I think it's like a director's cut that had some extra content in there or something like that. But I mean, I think that's really cool, and they're apparently going to release more games every week, and I think that's a cool thing to entice
that's awesome.
People to go back and check out those games or pull them out of their closet. And
I think it helps, the value, the overall value of the Xbox One.
I think so, too. This is the first time I'm complimenting Xbox One.
I don't think it's the first time, but it's pretty rare.
It's pretty rare that we do it.
Yeah.
I think they did SSX 3, too.
Yeah.
But that's on, like, everything. You can play that everywhere. But it's a great game. If you haven't played SSX3, definitely try it out.
There's like an old strategy game called Shattered Union, which is like about the United States going to war with itself.
I don't think I'm really familiar with
it. It's sort of like Advance Wars, but instead of having a square grid, it's a hex grid.
Oh, maybe I'd be all about that.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not fantastic.
Yeah. Well, either way, like, good job on Xbox. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
This is a smart move.
I think that's really smart, and especially throwing, like, not just the typical games that you would think. Like, I think them throwing, like, Jade Empire and, well, I feel like Jade Empire is popular, but enough. But Panzer Dragoon Orta and Elder Scrolls 3, I think throwing those on there for people is a lot more enticing. Like, oh, man, besides the Xbox, is there really any other place that you can play Panzer Dragoon without having to pay like
$1,000? I think there's like 3 or 4 games on the Saturn. There's the
but
RPG,
they're all like expensive as shit. That's what I'm talking
they're
about.
all expensive, but specifically the RPG one, the one that's the most involved, is like.
Because Panzer Dragoon Orta is not like an easy game to find anymore, is it?
No, it's not. It generally sells for probably about $50. I think
it's a really weird one that they would pick specifically. I thought for that reason, but I'm really happy with the list that they provided. I think that this is a good start, and if they're going to release some every other week, I think that's really good. So
yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to throw on that, Adam?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, then that's going to pretty much be finishing up all the topics. Adam, why don't you let people know where they can find us, as your job is?
As always, www.facebook.com/GTAS podcast or twitter.com/GTAS podcast. And we're also on iTunes, Stitcher,
and Google Play. Google Play is kind of difficult to. I was trying to navigate it because I posted a Twitter about like, hey, check us out on audio ones, and I provided a link to the Google Play. The Google Play one is very odd. I need to do a little bit more research into that because it says it's published, and if you find the right link, it'll take you to it, but it's very difficult to find searching for it. So look for the links below in the videos on YouTube if you're listening to us audio and you're like getting a new phone and you need to go to the Google Play or something like that. Go to our YouTube page and find any one of our videos, and we'll have the links to each one. But I just know that the Google Play is kind of difficult to find. I was tinkering with it yesterday. So But once again, I mean, thank you so much again for all the support you guys have been giving us. Yeah. We've surprisingly been getting a little bit more of a following with our audio. Like, our audio podcasts are doing actually relatively well compared to what I thought they actually would be doing. Yeah. So apparently a lot of you really prefer to listen to, I mean, I can't believe you want to listen to us at all, but you prefer to listen to us on an audio form instead of seeing our ugly faces. Yeah. But yeah, once again, if you guys have any comments or feedback that you guys want to throw us, find one of our videos and comment on the below. Adam and I usually are pretty active, at least on our YouTube page. Adam and I have just been really busy, so we haven't been posting a lot on Facebook and Twitter. I'm going to try to change that in the next week, like maybe dedicate a day that I just strictly go to the Twitter and the Facebook page and just post a bunch of shit. Don't forget that you can like us and comment on all the videos, as I mentioned, but you can also share us to any friends if you think that anybody might also like talking shit with us. Yeah. And so for all the people who are listening, thanks a lot. I really do appreciate it. I mean, it, as I said millions of times, it's just a hobby for us, but we really appreciate the support that you guys give us. So, all right, well...
we've loved video games and movies and comic books and shit our whole lives.
Yeah, we just never audioed it. We never recorded it.
Yeah.
So, all right, but everyone, I'm Bob Rusin.
I'm Adam Miller.
All right, and then until next time...
See you.
Farewell. Don't get captured!